Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy. Check us out. We do projects, training, and hey, consulting. Welcome to episode 19 of the Think Out Loud series. We are still working on the Florida bar exam project, the fake project that I think it is. Is this real fake? I don't know. One of you sent this in, so of course we are working on it. And we've got the Acture file that anybody can access. And this week we're going to do some design, whereas the last two episodes, if you're just picking up here, episodes 17 and 18, check the Think Out Loud playlist on YouTube. Those were about how would I plan the research for a project like this. Now we're going to try a little bit of design, and I've got some ideas, and I'm curious what ideas you all have. So before we get designing, let me just quickly thank everybody who is participating here in the YouTube channel by donating to it. Of course, that is completely optional, but always appreciated. People are giving $3 to $10 American dollars per month, which I use for my streaming software and delicious chocolate chips. And I absolutely ate those chocolate chips today because I made some cookies last night with chocolate chips. So that is the story there. All right, so let me get some of my screens ready, and let's head on over to the Acture file and start talking about that. Give me one moment to switch over, and maybe someone can say hi, and I'll know that I'm alive here, broadcasting live, because I haven't seen any chats yet. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so you've got me, the optional tip jar, the chat room, and my screen. So if you would like, you can find this project live on the web, and I'll upload it again after today, at 7, letter I, number 8, letter S like Sierra, letter H like Hotel, letter N like Nancy, .axshare, AXSHARE.com. And that's where I am uploading my Acture file to the Acture cloud. And that way, if you would like to see the Acture file, you can, but you only see it once I upload it. So I'm not uploading it during the show. I'm uploading it at the end. So for those of you just coming in now, a quick update on what this project is so that we can get designing. Someone sent in that there is a Florida bar exam website that is for people who are working on trying to get ready to apply to take the test. So it's not even the website where you take the test, it's where you are applying to take the test. Let me see if I can go back to the website the way it is now, since we might want that handy. For, let's see, here we go. I think this was it. And the idea was that people who want to become lawyers in Florida who have graduated law school still have to put in an application to the what's called the Florida bar. Every state in America has a bar or bar association. And the idea is they are who basically license lawyers. So this was the website, and this was the checklist that you had to go through of all the things you have to do and all the paperwork you have to fill out just to apply to take the test. So as you can see, this is a really long and difficult process. And in fact, there's even a message at the very end that says something like, you must have... you must mail it within 6 months. And so there's all of these very difficult things. And so I can't make the Florida bar process better. So we're assuming for this project that I can't really change the process. I can't change what Florida does. Now, in the research that we planned in the previous episodes, we did say that we would do some research, hypothetically, with people who work at the Florida bar who accept these applications and then have to process them, because maybe there is an opportunity for us to improve that process, both for the future lawyers and for the people who work at the Florida bar and wish they had a better way to get this paperwork and process it. Excuse me, because As you can see right now, you can postally mail all of your paperwork, or you can send it FedEx or whatever it might be. There looks like there's no way to upload any of these things. So obviously I'm going to imagine a system that allows uploading. If for whatever reason the Florida bar only allows paper copies of things for whatever reason, then obviously the system I'm going to create has some flaws and would need some changes. But we're going to imagine a dreamy digital transformation world where the Florida bar can actually accept most, let's assume most documents, maybe not all of them, but most documents in a PDF form. Again, if we were to learn in our research that that's not the case, then we're just back to here's your checklist and good luck getting all this stuff, and now print it out and send it to us. But let's imagine that there's actually some digital opportunities here where some of this stuff can be uploaded. All right. So since this is the project, I'm going to think about how I would make a page like this better and easier for the people who have to deal with this checklist. I am going to put a couple of notes in what I do for things that I don't really know or I'm guessing that our research would have found out. Because again, we spent the last 2 Mondays talking about what research would we do, and normally in UX, our design is research informed. We use what we learn in research to do design. If you work at a company where you're given a site like this and you're just told make it better and there's no research, there's no interaction with users, bad news, you're doing web design and not UX design. UX involves users, hence the UX. Web design is, hey, we have something ugly. Can you just use your expertise to make it better? And you might be good at making it better, but I still wouldn't call that UX work because it doesn't follow a UX process and it's lacking. Ooh, something's exploding. I can't see this because I don't have the overlay. Something happened, and thank you to whoever did something because I can't see what it is. So what happened? Well, thank you. I get the feeling I'm also missing out on chat messages. I'm not getting any chat messages. Let's really quickly pull up, not my karaoke channel. Let's quickly pull up YouTube and stuff. I'm worried that you are leaving chat, not deltacx.com. I'm worried you're leaving chat messages and I can't see them. As you see from my chat on the side, it is empty. Oh, hi, Elliot. Okay, maybe Elliot is the only person who's left a message. LinkedIn, if you're leaving messages, I'm not seeing it. Okay, now it's the meta, me looking at me. All right. So let's take a look at how we would redesign this. Now, of course, I'm always challenging myself and the people I coach. Good morning, Whitney. Steph says, I don't see chat messages. Or are people quiet? Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. I guess there was just a little bit of a delay there. I'm always challenging people to make things simpler and simpler and simpler. Now you could say, hey Deb, this page is pretty simple. It's just words and it's meant, hi Leela, it's meant to be printed out and then people are going to check these things off when they have them ready. But I'm going to try, I love how step 1 is print this checklist. Oop, check that off, I printed it. Step 2 is check each item when you've done it. Wow, check off the checking of the check. Okay. So I think we're just going to have to focus on jumping in. And they even have something here is about you will have to print the cover sheet and mail it to the board. The cover sheet will be available after you've finalized your application. So again, there's a lot of steps here that I don't understand because we didn't do the real research to understand what the real steps were. But so let's just, having guessed and pretended that we've done research, let's just talk about how we could make this page simpler and easier for people. And one of the things that jumps out at me is a way for the system to let you track the things that you've done, the things that you've done wholly, the things that you've done partially, and the things you haven't done at all. So for example, 5 personal references. Well, if we just have one check, then it sounds like we got all 5. But wouldn't it be nice to have a more granular way to say, aha, I've got 2 of them, but I'm still missing 3. So I'm thinking about breaking things up a little bit more so people have a much clearer idea of how far along they are in the process and if they have everything or not. I'm also thinking about break into sections. Yeah, that's a good idea, Whitney. That use a little bit of information architecture, visual hierarchy. Could these things be broken into sections, maybe even by where you have to get this stuff from? So for example, do you have to get your police record and the police fingerprints, or, you know, is there a bunch of stuff that you have to get from one source? Now, I don't know. We would have hopefully found that out in research. Can people get these things from multiple sources? I don't know. But we can try to break these things up if we think there's a good way to do it. Maybe breaking it up by what's harder to get, so you better start early. Again, that's knowledge. You know, when Larry Marine talks about, and I know this doesn't look good on white, but when Larry Marine talks about tools, knowledge, and workaround, this is a great example of knowledge. And that knowledge includes, where do I get this stuff? How long is it going to take me to get it? And what does it cost? Not all of these things on this page are going to be free. Sometimes if you have to get a copy of an old divorce certificate or something like that, that costs money. You usually don't get those things for free. Sometimes getting a transcript from your school is not free. So it would be great. Now, of course, we don't know what every school is going to charge, but it would be great if we could warn people up front what these things are likely to cost. So maybe we end up with a little bit of a data table of sorts. So let's take a look. Let's try it out. So let's jump back to Axure. Let's open up a fresh design page and let's start doing some work. I have a completely blank page. And what I like to do is I just start throwing stuff on the page. Now, some people like to start with sketching. I don't start with sketching, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with sketching. It's just not the way that my brain works. I don't like to sketch. So you can certainly start with sketching. I start with Axure, again, not sponsored. I start with Axure and I just start taking things that are in my head and I dump them on the screen. But it's usually not my final idea. Usually I'm going to move things around later based on my idea changing and evolving. So just know that anything I throw on the screen might change later when I take another pass. If you're watching live, feel free to ask any questions, make any comments, make any suggestions. Let's treat this as a conversation. All right. Let's see. So what are we going to need? Well, I don't want a checkbox. I'm not sure, you know, we could have a checkbox for some things, but what about multiple things? We're going to need some upload buttons. So let's grab a button and let's grab a checkbox. These are some of my pre-made components, and let's paste them and let's move them to the side for now. We'll deal with them later. So, and again, I'm not going to worry about the website header, the website footer, the side columns, and I'm going to pretend that people have logged in and they have an account so that way, as they do things on the page will save it and remember it. What you can tell right now is that there's obviously not a login. The page is not going to remember any of this. You're supposed to print it out and have your own paper copy. I'm going to imagine that there's some sort of, I mean, it says create an account, but I'm going to imagine that you've logged in and this page is now ready to be interactive, where it's going to remember the things you've saved. So let's take a look at some of the first things on the page. Okay. Gather information materials. Now that is their, technically their first step, since I don't buy it that the first step is print this out. This heading is a little bit ridiculously large, but I'm just going to run with it anyway. And let's move it over to 00 for now. Steph says, do you also work directly on information in information architecture in Axure, like content modeling, ordering, sorting? I usually do. Unless I'm going to do information architecture research first, like a card sort or something like that. But then, yeah, I do use Axure for everything because you can make flowcharts and hierarchies and stuff in Axure with like the flowchart tools and the connectors. So I typically do information architecture in Axure also. So step one, gather materials. And again, assume that all of this content is placeholder. Assume that anything I type is just my idea and that eventually I would work with a professional UX writer who would help me clean this up and make it better. Under that, they have a completion of this application will be time consuming. In order to complete your bar application efficiently online, it is suggested you gather information and have it available when you complete the online application. Okay, so this is where I'm a little confused because eventually you have to follow the instructions to install a two-factor authentication, create an account, log in, start and stop as you need, finalize, generate the cover sheet, passport photo. Okay, so this is a little bit of knowledge here. We don't, does it say up here that you're going to need a photo? No. So up here in the gather materials, they didn't tell people they're going to need a photo. This is a great example of where people might feel surprised or unprepared later. So we're going to need to tell them earlier that they need a passport style photo. Print, handwriting sample. Why? And then you have to mail everything to the board. So package your documents, cover sheet, bar application section D, completed and notarized. Okay, so for those of you unfamiliar with that term, a notary or notary public is a person that you have to go to and sign documents in front of them. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it is paid. Authorization and release. The form is available under supporting forms. Application fee. Fingerprints. Fingerprints scanned for electronic submission. Proof of citizenship. Oh, and they'll eventually let you upload them through the portal. Okay. So it sounds like eventually you can upload most of the documents through the portal, and there are some things they want to be mailed physically. So it would probably be helpful to let people know as they go through the checklist which things they're going to be uploading and which things have to be physically mailed and which things are both. They're supposed to be uploaded and then mailed. I'm going to have to make some of this up because I don't totally know, but we will have to account for that as well. Hi, Abhinav. So this is a little bit more complicated than we imagined. So, all right, let's imagine we are going to start numbering things. Let's see. So, residence information, including dates and complete addresses for the past 3 years. So, residence information, it doesn't sound like you need an official document for that. It sounds like you can make your own document from that. So, it sounds like we're going to need some sort of data table. I think it would take me too long to make this as an Axure repeater, so I'm just going to make it as a bunch of individual pieces. Okay, so this would be number 1. And this will be, I'm just going to copy and paste this. Residence information. Whitney says, maybe that's where the separation in the checklist should be made. Yeah, I'm going to start with playing with some ideas, and we can all work together to see what you think. So let's see. Here's number 1. And let's say it's this wide. We can always change it later. Let's see, it's 16 point type. Let's make this one 16 point as well. Usually I use the global styling in Acture, but today I'm lazy and I'm using manual styling. If you've taken my Acture classes, which are on YouTube, do not bug me. I am going to do manual styling. All right, let's leave room for a checkbox to say that we did this. I wonder, can I make the checkbox bigger? Acture usually doesn't love that. I don't think I can. Yes? No? If I make the font bigger, will the checkbox get bigger? No. Boo. Yeah. I'm just going to leave it for now. A visual designer would make maybe a bigger, better checkbox. Okay. So I'm going to make some columns. And I'm going to leave some room here. So let's see. This first column would be, is it completed or not? So we got the checkbox for that. So let's just line these up a little bit so visual designers don't cry at me. So we've got, is this completed or not? And then we've got, you know, I could center this or left it. I'm going to not worry about that too much now. Let's just drop it here. Document. And then, let's paste another one. And then we're going to, I'm going to make a column that I'm going to call source, which is where are people going to get this document from. So so what's a nice way of saying make it your damn self? I'm just going to write create this yourself. It seems a little callous, but you know, somebody will make it read a little bit better later. So that will be our source. Provided by applicant. There you go. Created, let's go with created by applicant. Or if you want to be a little cuddlier, maybe created by you. But again, these are placeholders. I'm going to pretend that the writer is going to help us out later. What else do we need to help people understand? Maybe what this type of document might cost. Okay. Let's see, what else? This should probably be centered. What else might we want to, thinking about knowledge design and thinking about how we want to prepare people ahead of time so there aren't surprises later. What are some other things that we can think of here? Let's look back at the other. Oh yeah, like will this end up being uploaded, or will there have to be a paper copy mailed? Does that sound helpful to the applicant, or does that seem unnecessary? Because I don't want to add anything to this that doesn't help them. Man, oh man, they have a PDF for application fees. What are the fees different? How is it different? Okay. Woo. Wow. Different fees based on when you graduated. And, ooh, this is, I wonder if there's a, wow, this seems like a project unto itself to make that a little bit more user-friendly. Well, anyway, let's just start piecing this together and see how we feel about it. And we can always take another pass at it, add more columns if we think that's important. I'd probably also add some lines for this to look more like a table. But since this is kind of my early sketch, I'm just going to go with this. Okay, names and addresses of all undergraduate and graduate schools that you attended and dates of attendance. Okay, so that's pretty easy. That's another thing that this person should be able to complete themselves. So let's make a new thing. And again, I would put lines between these, but right now I'm just being a little lazy for my first pass. So this would be 2, and this would be copy, paste. How about periods on the end of these? These look a little weird without periods. Okay, there we go. Names of all law schools attended. So names and addresses of all undergraduate and graduate schools you attended and dates, names of all law schools. I feel like we can combine those and simplify this. So names of all undergraduate, graduate, and law schools you attended and dates of attendance. Yes? Anybody else? I think that works. I mean, so they'll get the address of the law school when they didn't ask for it, but that's, you know, fine. I think you can't give too much information there. 5 personal references who have known you well. Names, addresses, phone numbers. Okay, Whitney agrees. So I originally thought these were letters of reference, like, Dear Florida Bar, I know Whitney, and Whitney is a fine, upstanding individual. But it sounds like we just need to provide these people's information, and they might call these people. So I don't think these are letters of reference. I think these are just peeps. So I'm going to put one of these new guys under here. And again, I would work harder some other day on seeing if they're perfectly spaced and things like that. But again, this is first concept, first pass. Okay, so 5 personal references who've known you well within the past 5 years, including full names, current mailing addresses, and telephone numbers. Created by applicant. Shouldn't cost you anything to make that list. Okay, this isn't too bad so far. Employment information for the last 10 years or since your 16th birthday, whichever is shorter, and information from any employer from which you were terminated. Names, addresses, telephone numbers, dates employed, position, type of business, supervisor, and reason for leaving. Include self-employment or association. Okay, so I'm not going to rewrite this because ultimately, again, I would work with a UX writer or content specialist who would help us rewrite these if there's a way for them to be shorter, clearer, anything that's an upgrade. But for now, I'm going to leave these. And let's see, employment. Oh, I remember what I wanted to do. Hold on. I'm doing stuff. I'm doing stuff, and I'm forgetting one of the key ideas that I had. And the key idea, oh, that's ugly. And the key idea that I had was upload as you go. So right now they're saying, hey, gather all of this information, then go upload everything, and then finish it up. And I'm saying, what if people could upload as they go? I think it would help them feel a sense of accomplishment, and they wouldn't, they could just not be concerned along the way that they're missing a document where later on they're going to go, oh no, I thought I finished that thing and I'm missing the document. I guess I got my checklist wrong. So let's include an upload button. That's why this one's here. let's imagine that we're going to let people upload as they go. So let's drop a headline, a kind of a table header over this. I'm going to call it your docs, but again, let's imagine that a content specialist makes that better. Upload. All right, let's get a bunch of these here. And the idea would be that as they have these ready, they can upload them into the system. We're assuming they're already logged in. So that's an assumption we're making here. We might need to make a note about that. But then as they go, we assume that they've uploaded this, and then it's in the system. So let's mock this up in Acture a little bit. So I'm going to call this checkbox 1. And I'm going to start giving these some names so I can just try a little bit of interactivity in Acture. And this is something that I typically do as I am designing, so I can see, does this seem like it makes sense? Could this be a good potential solution? Does it feel simple? Does it match whatever I know about people checkbox. Does it match whatever I know about people based on whatever research and information we've done? Whitney says, for your school information, they want that sealed most of the time. No, there was a separate one. This was a list of schools. Whitney, you're not wrong, but that's number 11, transcripts. So Whitney, you're right, but we're not there yet. This is just that one is just a list of the schools that you've been to. Now they're going to ask for your transcripts. So we're going to get there, Whitney. Please hold. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to build a little bit of interactivity into this so I can see if I feel like my general idea is going in the right direction. If my general idea is not going in the right direction, I should probably stop and make some changes to it. Otherwise, I might burn a lot of time on something that I realize is a weak idea or has room for improvement. So I'm going to need a couple of things here. Let's see. I wonder if Acture has in their UI patterns maybe like a spinner? Loading spinner. Cool. I'm just going to use theirs as a default, even though it looks like a recycle symbol and I don't like it at all. So let's see. So this is Acture's spinner because we're going to pretend it's processing a file that you've uploaded. So I need some sort of spinner placeholder. And let me go over to the Acture outline. What am I looking at? This is a shape. Okay, so let's give it a name. Let's call it spinner. I know it seems a little obvious. And let's put it, oh, you know what? I don't want to name it. Really quickly in Acture, I've got to make it a dynamic panel so I can pin it. I know that doesn't make sense to most people who don't know Acture, but just give me a moment. This will be the spinner panel. And this will be pinned, pin, center, middle. Okay. Let's change the color of it quickly because gray is going to be funky. Let's go with bright purple. Yay! Love, love, love. All right, cool. And people can't see it by default, so by default it's hidden. You can't see it. Nya, nya. And let's see. So I need another message. So let's see. Let's quickly give people, let's create another message that we can show people. And let's say that this is the spinner. And let's do a second. Now, again, I know a lot of you don't totally understand what I'm doing in Acture. Don't totally worry about it. Remember, on the Delta CX YouTube channel, I have 13 hours of Acture courses. Please go learn Acture. It's free. And let's call this success message, except let's spell it correctly. Let's build something that we can show people if they, if we want to tell them their upload was successful. So let's go in here. No, the success message won't have these arrows. It will have words. And let's just write upload successful. It's a little bit bland. Let me zhuzh it up a little bit. But that's kind of where I'm going with it. And let's make it a little bit bigger and bold and whatever. So this isn't going to be pretty, but it should work well enough, and we will just try it out. So this is 150 wide. We should do this as 150 wide and put it at 0 and center it so these things match. Okay, so there we go. All right, now let's bring this to life a little bit and see how we feel about it. Though, you know, it's not about feelings. It's about critically looking at our own work and deciding if this is a good match to users' mental models, what we learned in research, simplicity, things like that. So when people click upload, first set panel state of the spinner panel. Sorry, my mouse moves slow whenever I'm live streaming. I don't get it. To spinner, show hide the spinner panel, animate, sure, why not, fade in, and treat as lightbox. And background of lightbox, we'll do a white. Let's try white and maybe 80%. Let's see how that looks. Show spinner panel, fade in, treat as lightbox. I wonder if it spins on its own or if I have to build that, because we just copied it from Acture. Well, let's see. Wait 2 seconds. Set panel state of the spinner panel, slow mouse, to success message. Wait 2 seconds. Hide the whole thing. Oh, slow mouse, you're killing me. Hide. All right, let's see. Oh, wait, we're not done. And then let's check the checkbox. Set selected. Checkbox 1. I clearly wrote number 3 incorrectly. 2, true. All right. What did I do with checkbox 3? Oh, box. All right, let's give this a shot. Let's go back and refresh. All right, here's how this looks. Let's see if this, if we feel like this is realistic. So we're pretending that when people click upload that they found the file on their hard drive and we're going straight to the spinner. So again, I'm not going to bother with the fake uploading, find the file thing. Okay, cool. So could that be improved and could that be a little bit clearer? Maybe, but as a step 1, I think it looks pretty good. And then hopefully you all noticed that after that, this was now checked off as completed, but we should probably change this upload to something that looks more like, hey, now we have your document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a PDF logo. Should we use an old-fashioned one or a more modern one? I'm going to grab this one. It feels a little old school and fun. Ooh, look at this all fancy schmancy one. Copy image. All right. So let's instead build a dynamic panel here, where state 1 is the upload button and state 2 is going to be we have a PDF And let's fix this up. 0, 0. And I should probably make this smaller. Maybe make it 40 high. Let's see how that looks. It's a little small, but I think that's good enough, and it matches the size of the upload button, so that feels good. And because this is a sample, we'll write your file name .pdf, and I think that's good enough for now, right? This button is 40 high. Okay, good. And then the other thing's 40 high, so that will match up. And we'll call this PDF. And now we'll just change the Acture interaction there so that when they click on this button, we need to add a set panel state. Oops, I forgot to name the panel. I'll go back and do that. Instead of the upload button, we'll show the PDF. Something's missing, which would be remove this PDF or replace this PDF, because that type of function normally goes along with this. But I'm going in baby steps here, and you can see my ideas are still forming. My ideas are evolving as I go. So this will be upload panel 1, and I'm calling it 1 because it goes with question 1. Let's do a refresh and see how that looks, and see what else we can change. Okay, so we probably need a delete it or a replace it kind of thing. Maybe people realize they uploaded the wrong PDF. So let's throw at this thing a garbage can icon. That's a little bit, that's gigantic and in the wrong place. Let's see. Here we go. So let's say that this is 30 high. Any thoughts or comments or questions from the people watching live? Anything I'm doing that doesn't make sense or that you're wondering about? This is probably still a little bit big feeling. Let's see, maybe a little bit smaller for the trash can. And maybe make it look blue and clickable or whatever. Maybe we have a color it's supposed to be. All right, let's try that. That might be a little bit clearer in that way. While I'm here, let me build that out in Acture and make it work. So let's drop a hotspot on it. Now I'm using a hotspot in Acture because I like to be generous with my clickable areas, because that's a small icon, and sometimes people struggle getting their mouse exactly on a small icon. So I'm going to give people a larger clickable area because I'm not a monster. Okay, there we go. Except the height is 42, and I think we wanted everything to be 40. There we go. All right. That's pretty good. Now I need to build an interaction. If people click the hotspot, what should happen? We're going to do set panel state of the still accidentally unnamed dynamic panel to the upload button. Yes. Now, why didn't that get a name? I could swear I named that thing. Let's try again. This will be upload panel 1. Save, save, save. All right. Let's also go into this thing. That little upload successful is bothering me a little bit. I wonder if I can just make it ridiculously large. Would that make me feel better? Now this is 300 wide. It's not going to line up right, but let's just run with it for now anyway. This is my first pass, and we're just trying to try out some ideas for how this can be easier for people as they go. Upload. Successful. Checked off. Here's your file. Oh, if they had deleted it, I should uncheck this. Ooh, okay, so see how my brain is working? I'm watching this and I'm looking for what should happen every time somebody clicks something or does something. How can I make it a little bit more realistic? And so set selected or checked. Checkbox 1, this would be uncheck it, so that's in Acture, that's false. And let's try it again. Okay, I've uploaded the file. Okay. Now I've deleted the file, unchecked, incomplete. Okay. I guess since it's think out loud, what am I thinking right now? I'm also wondering if there is a way to maybe change the visual of this so that it doesn't stand out because you've already done it. Like maybe the checkbox isn't enough. You know, maybe making the text a little bit more in the gray, or maybe using bold and not bold. I don't know. Anybody have any thoughts about that? To make the things you have done be kind of visually less than the things you haven't done. That's just an idea there. And of course, I would copy and paste all of these upload buttons to all of these, but then I would have to rebuild the Acture interaction so that they check off the right button, the right checkbox. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to go back and take a look at what else is here. Let's see if we can skip ahead to something else because we only have 10 bits. Would that make it seem like it's not accessible? That's a good question. Excuse me, that's a good question. I wonder if there's another way to go. I don't know. We'll think about that later. That might end up just being a visual design thing. Military service information. Again, that sounds like a document that you make. Financial information about bad credit, judgments. Again, financial information sounds like a document you make. Information about litigation in which you were named a party, including divorce, bankruptcy. Again, information about it does not sound like an official record of it. It sounds like you make a list of all the times you've been involved in a law thing. Information about arrests, charges. So again, it doesn't sound like they want the actual court documents. They just want you to list it. Information about bar admission or registration applications filed in Florida or any jurisdiction. So I guess, have you filed to be on the bar here before or somewhere else? Here we go. Transcripts from schools. You should request that all transcripts be sent from each educational institute directly to the board's office. All right, I think this is an area where we can make things easier for people. So actually, before I copy and paste this, let's copy and paste this. And I'm just going to pretend that we put all the other ones in between, and we're just going to jump to number 11. So let's pretend they were all in there, but now we're going to do number 11. And number 11 says, I'm going to paste it first, and then let's see if we can make it better. Transcripts from all undergraduate schools from which you received an undergraduate degree, transcripts from all law schools attended except your current law school if you're still attending, even if the credit was transferred to another school or reflected on another school, and transcripts from any post-secondary schools attended subsequent to law school. and they should all come to the board's office. Okay, knowledge design. Where's the board's office? Nah. So instead of asking people to figure that out and guess it, we're just going to paste it right in here. This is clearly the board's office. So we're going to say this has to be sent to Florida Board of Bar Examiners. So you should request that all transcripts be sent from each educational institute directly to the board's office at Florida Bar Examiners. What was it called? Florida Board of Bar Examiners. And now I'm assuming this is the correct address, but of course, if it isn't, we would fix that. Okay, so there's nothing for them to upload here because all of these get sent directly. So hypothetically, these upload would all live here. This would not live here. People would have to just physically check this off on the screen when they have done it. And it's hard for us to know when they've done it because we don't know how many undergraduate schools or law schools they went to. It sounds like undergraduate schools, only the one where you got the degree, but law schools, even if you transferred credits, and other post-secondary schools. Chances are this wording could be cleaned up a lot, but for now, we'll just help people out by proactively giving them the address and not making them fish for it later, and then they'll need to check that off themselves. So that's something that we can improve. Let's see what else. Fingerprints. All applicants must have their fingerprints scanned for electronic submission to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and to the FBI by one particular company. Instructions for this step are in the answer, how do I submit the required fingerprints in the FAQ? So again, another great example of knowledge design. We know how you need to submit your fingerprints, and we're only going to accept them from this one company, but we're not going to tell you here, go read the FAQ. Confirmation of your compliance must be received before the application. So we can help people by building knowledge from this FAQ into this step. So how do you have to do this? Now, some of this is just going to be rewriting the text, but we can make this better and easier for people by bringing this into place. So let's see. The Florida Bar Examiners now requires all Identigo has 69 locations in the state of Florida. What if you don't live in Florida? Applicants must arrange to be fingerprinted prior to submitting bar application. Processing cannot begin until the fee to have fingerprints is $53.20 plus tax. Okay. So there's a lot of repeated text in here. They say multiple times that you have to make sure you've done this before you take the exam, and you have to make sure you've done this ahead of time. We get it. This can probably be edited down by, again, a professional writer or content strategist. But one thing that I'm going to make sure that we're clear about is the price. So let's make sure that we let people know what this costs. So this is going to be $53.25, and this is going to be Identigo by Morpho Trust USA. Congratulations on winning that bid. Identigo from Morpho Trust USA. Now, I would try to take all of this text and boil it down to something that makes sense for our checklist. Because I think there's a lot of things here that are hopefully really obvious, like select Florida under search for services by state, click on I wonder if we could get a link straight to that so that we're not telling people do this, do that. Here it says search for services by state, choose Florida, go. Okay, then what are you supposed to do? Digital fingerprinting, register for fingerprint card. Okay, so digital fingerprinting, select. Okay, we're on a whole new website now. And then we were supposed to look for register for fingerprint card. Here we go. Now that didn't give me a new URL. That gave me the same URL. Let's see if going one step further helps us out here. Select Florida Board of Bar Examiners. So it would have been great if Identico had built it so that when I clicked that, I got a fresh URL that I could link directly to. Florida Board of Bar Examiners. Go. Now again, I'm hoping for a unique URL. You are affirming that you are an out-of-state resident or physically unable to be. Okay, so maybe it's sniffing that I'm in Italy, but it would be great if we had been able to get a URL straight to the previous page so that people could have started from there. Instead, we're going to have to tell people to go to this page and then click. So we saved them a couple of steps. I feel good about that. They'll have to choose register for fingerprint card processing services and then Florida Bar of Examiners. So let's put this in here. What was it? Register for fingerprint card processing service. Fingerprint card processing service. Choose Florida Board of Bar Examiners. And then what else does it say? Follow the steps. Complete personal information. Pay. Fingerprint card must be postmarked by exam filing deadline. Mail the fingerprint card to the address displayed subsequent to arranging payment. Okay. So again, you can see where I really need the help of a professional writer or content strategist in order to take the bar exam. The original completed fingerprint card must be postmarked by the examination's filing deadline. Mail. Let's try your here. Your. And mail your original fingerprint card to... I'm going to assume this is the correct address, but of course I would have gone through to check if it is or isn't. And then let's say that we go back and grab that URL. And so we tell people, start here. And I'm not really going to link it. I'm just going to pretend right now. I'm going to make it blue and underlined. I'm going to pretend it's a link, but you get the idea. Okay, start at that, choose that, choose that. Okay. So ultimately, I don't think there's a lot that we can design, and maybe we're done with this project, but you can see that I would be looking for a way to shorten this for people by building knowledge in so that they're not guessing, they're not wondering how to do this, they're not leaving the page to go to FAQs. Because remember, we told them to print the page. So once they print the page, they can't click on paper to go to the FAQ. How can we bring that information into where we are now so that people are not fishing for different pieces of information? How can a writer make this simple and clearer? Certificate of Dean. Submit to the Certificate of Dean to your law school after graduation. Do not provide the form to your school, but contact your school. Yeah, so there's like a whole, this needs better writing. I don't think this is a huge design challenge. This is basically writing and organization. Like this, you know, get an NCBE number, go to this website to get your number or request a number. Okay, now we have to look up, is there a fee? How long does that take? So I think we can probably wrap up Florida Bar today, because ultimately my design idea is to improve the writing, make it clearer what people have to do, let them upload stuff as they go, and in some cases check off what they've done. Let's assume this all gets saved to their profile so they don't have to come back later and do a lot of uploading, which can be very nerve-wracking for people if they don't have a good internet connection or they're worried they forgot something. Here, they're going to clearly see as they go with much bigger, better designed checkboxes what they're missing and what they have done. And I think this is the direction that I would go with this. Any thoughts or questions on this design before I wrap up this show and kind of wrap up this fake project? And I've uploaded it to the Axure cloud, so if anybody wants to go back to our Axure URL, you certainly can. And again, won't you please subscribe to our channel? We need all the organic help that we can get, so please subscribe and tell people about the channel. People looking to learn UX research and design, let them know. Any last thoughts or questions about this Florida Bar thing? I don't know if the person who requested it is even watching it, or if you feel like we attacked the project. But again, hypothetically, we would not be designing without the findings and insights from research. We would be designing based on what we learned there. So if we had that research, I might design something completely different. Right now, I'm just guessing on how to make this simpler, easier, user-friendly, building knowledge in as you go, not sending people away to go dig up other information. Whitney says, one thing that just came to mind is maybe a timeline. This can be done in an X amount of weeks and days. Yeah, I think we would have learned that from research, that the average person requires X amount of weeks or days to do this. Maybe that's something that we just add as a little text thing, you know, and again, I would need a writer to help me with this. Maybe on average, most people complete gathering all materials within, I'll just make up a number, 6 weeks. So maybe we give them a little bit of a hint there. I think Whitney's idea is good, that we might want to set people up for how long this takes. Does this take 3 days? Does this take 6 months? I'm going to pretend it takes 6 weeks and give people a little bit of a message there, but ultimately take this to usability testing, see if it makes sense to people. Great comment. Super help from Whitney today. Thank you, Whitney. You are the star. Any other thoughts or additions or questions before we wrap up the extremely famous Florida Bar Exam project? This also means that if you'd like to send something in for me to work on, please go to deltacx.com/links and send something in. Please note that I am not accepting challenges that come from job interviews because I believe you should be able to do a job interview challenge yourself, but I'm happy to look at any fake project that's on your mind. Patience. No, Whitney, you were great. Everything you said was a good idea. So you were super helpful. You were like a secret guest. So I will head back to a giant picture of me. There I am. So I'm going to play us out of here, but let's take a look at our schedule for this week for the YouTube shows. Tomorrow we have Office Hours Ask Us Anything, as we have a special guest joining, the always lovable Julia DeBari. We'll be taking your questions. You can ask some ahead of time at deltacx.com/links if you'd like. No show on Wednesday, no show on Thursday, and we're going to hold a very special Friday critical thinking show for July 1st, 2022, which is this coming Friday. If you're watching in the future, this may or may not be for everybody, but since we talk about critical thinking and practicing critical thinking and asking tough questions and breaking things apart and asking why and looking at outcomes and root causes, I've decided that we're going to tackle a tough topic. We're not going to take the usual wacky articles and tweets this week. We are going to think critically about the recent political decision made in America about abortion. Obviously, that is not a typical topic for this channel, and it might be something you're curious to think critically about, and it might be something you just don't want to talk about right now. So please note that Friday's show will be a different type of critical thinking, and we will be joined by our favorite guest and psychologist, Dr. Seth Finkel, to help us navigate some of the difficult waters of applying critical thinking to such a tough topic. Jay says, not every step involves uploading files, right? Jay, you're totally right. Some of those steps actually have you not uploading a file. They have either you mailing something straight to the bar, or they have the company that you're doing business with mailing something straight to the bar. Like, for example, your school transcripts will come straight from your school to the bar. They're not going to come to you, and they're not going to be uploaded. So, Jay, you're right. Not everything would end up with an upload button, but I think most things would. So again, be careful of Friday's show. It's not going to be for everybody, but we're going to give it a try. It's certainly going to be about critical thinking, though it's not going to be about CX or UX, and it is going to be, covering topics we normally don't cover. But I think these are questions that we should be asking and things we should say out loud, especially if we want to practice our critical thinking. So with that, and knowing I am late in feeding my dogs, I'm going to thank everybody for a great show, especially Superstar Whitney. And I am going to play us out of here, but I will see everybody tomorrow for Office Hours Ask Us Anything. Thanks, and have a great night. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are